get everybody through. I now come to a maiden speech, Kelvin Bailey.
I thank the Shadow Minister for his speech, and Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak. It appears that for once my sense of timing has been impeccable, having completed 24 years and 7 months of service in the Royal Air Force. I've arrived on time, uniquely placed as the only person who could sequence their maiden speech in amongst the debate about military aircraft. Unfortunately, like the Right Honourable Member for Bootle suggested in his riposte to the King's speech, I will not be wearing a silk smoking jacket. Mr. Speaker, it's a life of service to this House which also characterises my predecessor's career. A loved politician, John Cryer gave 14 years of service to the constituency of Leighton and Wanstead and 9 years as a member for Hornchurch before this. He is a fine parliamentarian and, more importantly, a fine socialist, like his mother and father before him. His incredible commitment to the Parliamentary Labour Party as its chair for the past 9 years was instrumental in helping us get to where we are today. Whilst he now moves on to the other place, I'm certain that his children and his family's legacy will follow in his footsteps in years to come. This sentiment of service is also something that resonates deeply with me. Service is fundamental to who I am, and it's fundamental to the government and to my commitment to a wonderful constituency of Leighton and Wanstead. I am here because my constituents place their trust in me, a trust for which I am grateful, and will repay with service and a commitment to ensuring they are represented in this place to the fullest of my abilities. At the centre of my constituency is Leytonstone, the heart of which is our beloved Whipps Cross Hospital. Whipps has served our constituency for 121 years, during which time its NHS staff, quiet professionals, have given selflessly for those in need within our community. And yet this hospital is emblematic of 14 years of failed Tory commitments and lack of investment. Its rebuilding is central to my tenure as an MP. Leytonstone is also a cradle for talent, having been home to notable figures such as namesake David Bailey and Car Train, sports stars Joe Fenn, Andros Townsend and David Beckham, or of RAF pedigree as the home of Douglas Webb, DFM, the front gunner in the famous Dam Busters raid, or more lately, Officer Commanding 47 Squadron's James Schoberg. Leveraging this rich heritage to inspire our youth and to give them pathways to success is a personal commitment of mine. Opportunities like these were scarce for young people like me. Creating similar pathways for our youth will be central to my service. Leytonstone is also home to one of the most financially deprived areas in the country, but it is a spirited community which seeks to heal itself. Community leadership from Canhall Mosque ensures the provision to all local people of much needed food bank and a youth group. Similarly, at St Margaret's and St Columba, others gather to preserve a sense of community despite their obvious hardships. Community spirit is also strong in South Woodford and Wanstead. If Whipps is the heart of our constituency, Wanstead is its lungs and the River Roding its veins. Wanstead Park is part of our historic Epping Forest, which was saved by campaigners like Octavia Hill, founder of the National Trust, and the spirit of activism and preservation continues in the Wanstead Community Gardens, the South Woodford Society, and the ever-popular Wanstead Fringe Festival. To the south is Leighton, home of Leighton Orient Football Club. The O's and their trust embody the best of our community. From their sacrifices during the Powell Regiment in the First World War to their work with Waltham Forest Age UK, they support our vulnerable veterans. The club is also proud to celebrate our diverse communities, epitomised by Laurie Cunningham, the club's first black player. His legacy continues to inspire, as does the leadership of Omar Beckles in improving representation in football. Leadership reflective of the club's leadership in the establishment of governance for our footballing world. Efforts like these are key to me. Visible role models and leadership is essential for diverse communities. Without these inspirational characters, young black people, like me, will not see themselves in places of power. I reflect on a very low number of black men in our politics, despite an increase in representation across all ethnic groups. Addressing this is key to fixing the inequalities which face young people, particularly in the area of knife crime. A pivotal moment in my upbringing was the murder of Stephen Lawrence. And whilst we are aware of the continuing failure to provide justice to my friend Stuart's family, we all know of the institutional failings that have led to this. I want to point you all to a number of things surrounding this which were formative for me. First, the absence of representation inhibits our ability to hear voices and understand the challenges faced by others like us. I reflected during the campaign that when I was young, I carried a knife, not because I wished to attack anyone, but because I was scared and felt that my befallen friend's brother the fate that had befallen my friend's brother could happen to me and others like me. Mistakenly, I assumed that I could look after myself similarly, but sadly, we know that this is not the case, and those that carry knives are more likely to be killed themselves. We need people like me to translate these experiences into policy. Second, in some ways, and most importantly, I look back with great upset and anger on how this matter was politicised by extreme groups. Our anger and upset was channeled by populists who manipulated us for their own political ends. These voices are present in our House and vocal in our politics, and we must challenge them openly to prevent these issues actors fostering anger, hate and division within our communities. I fear it is our greatest threat to democracy. We must be fundamental in our moderation. We must challenge these behaviours without fear, openly separating them from the underlying issues. Finally, what saw me through this period in my life and through a highly decorated flying career in the Royal Air Force are two things I value the most. First, my friends, and second, my family. My mother and father instilled in me the values and virtues of service and humanity. My sisters shaped me and helped me see the world through the eyes of a woman. My friends shepherded me through school, college and university, and through every difficult challenge in my life. But it is my wife who has supported me steadfastly through a military career and has grown our wonderful family. I love her deeply and will never be able to thank her enough. But the reason I'm here is my service, not just as a member of this House, but to our nation and the RAF. I have chosen to speak in this debate because as a young engineering student, I recall learning of the failings of the Duncan Sands Defence Review, which did deep and lasting damage to our aerospace industry and industrial base. Already we have heard voices which state that our commitment to this programme is a fallacy. But acceptance of this is merely acceptance of a failure to manage defence programmes and the companies contracted to deliver them. It is not GCAP which is a fallacy, but the way we contract and manage such programmes. Our interaction with defence primes must change. We must encourage risk-taking because without it there is no innovation. We must not allow the customer to set and the demand for technologies that the customer itself cannot conceive. We need to be a government that better understands science, and we need an industry that is incentivised with accountability. We have the 6th largest defence budget in the world. We must get our money's worth, and we must make sure that our money leads to our security and not to excess corporate bonuses. It's for this reason why the Armed Forces Minister's remarks about the sanctity of the Defence Review are key. We cannot allow defence to simply be bought out of its overspend. This is an exciting programme with 2 close and valued partners, and the government's Defence Review is critical to this.
Richard Ford, Lib Dem spokesperson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.